the Auburn Blitz Podcast, your direct source for all Auburn all the time with Brett Pritchard, Faith Richardson, and Randy Lee.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Auburn Blitz Podcast here on this Wednesday morning. We're glad that you joined us wherever and whenever it is that you tune us in throughout your day and making Auburn Blitz part of your Auburn daily intake. It's usually Monday, but we're glad to have him on a Wednesday. Jason Caldwell with Auburn Undercover and 24/7. Jason, always good to see you, buddy. We'll start like we always do. Let everybody know how they can keep up with you guys.
Yeah, like I said, check us out, auburnundercover.com, part of the 24/7 network. Can also follow me on Twitter at ITATJason, and then social media platforms, Auburn Undercover, all those places you can find us as well. So, yeah, lots going on and a whole lot more coming up in the next few weeks and months for as we head into flip the calendar and get ready for a fall, but not before we finish up a few things this spring.
That's why I put no rest for the weary down there. I meant that for everybody. Faith and I talk about this all the time. We go, well, this week's busy, and then we look into the next week, we're like, it's even busier. So it's just so much going on, and you know that's kind of a loaded statement because I'll just kind of dive straight in, and Faith will add some stuff here in just a minute. These coaches, man, they don't have a break. I mean, usually, and they would have some time, but man, just the way the schedule is with football recruiting and everything that goes on now, Jason, man, I don't feel sorry for people that make $6, $7, $8 million a year, but they earn their money more now than they've ever earned it.
Yeah, no, they built in some breaks, quote unquote breaks for them. One of those will be the month of July. They're pretty much off the month of July, but there's still phone calls and there's still Zoom calls and there are things that are happening even in the recruiting world. And so, no, it's a never-ending process. And the problem is that you've had, the transfer portal that's added to it, to where you have to, not only are you trying to get other guys, you're having to recruit your own team every day too. And so you're in the process of trying to find other portal guys. You're trying to keep other teams from getting your guys. And in the meantime, you're still recruiting 26 and 27 prospects. And, they've been on the road. This is the last week on the road for them for an evaluation period as well. So there's a lot going on for them. And, yeah, so it's a very busy time. And it gets every sport. The baseball portal opens here in a couple of days, and you'll start to have to recruit guys for the portal for next year while you're getting ready for an NCAA tournament this year. People talk about that in football going, football, it's a big deal. Well, it's a big deal in every sport, but football just gets the most attention because it happens right there, when people are getting ready for playoffs. It happens in baseball. Nobody says a word. Yeah, it's going to be a crazy time for everybody in every sport.
Faith, you and I have been on the road for the last however long, hitting some of these recruits, and I know Jason has been on the road as well. I'll start with you, Faith. Some of the guys that we've talked to, I want to get Jason's take on, and I know it's a guy that's coming in. We're going to kind of fly all over the map here this morning, guys. I want to fast forward to next weekend where the next group comes in, and a guy that you and I've seen up close and personal, and I know Jason and Christian made the trip over as well as Jaquez Wilkes. Faith, you've got an interview out on our YouTube channel. You were able to sit down with him, and I know you said it was one of your better times as far as sitting down with some of these kids and just kind of his outlook and how serious he is heading into his senior year.
Yeah, I think how serious he is, but also just the dedication. And we were talking about it kind of yesterday, some about the way that if you're at a 1A school at a lower level, when you go and play at higher level schools, or if you're even recruited from that 1A school going to the conference like the SEC, just how difficult it is. And I asked him about that because, again, that's just something. Wadley's a 1A school, how it kind of has impacted, himself of thinking, hey, what kind of guys am I going to be seeing that are different? And the way that he just responded of, I love the competition and I get bored when I play kids that aren't as good as me. And we've said it a million times, though, that, we don't know what they really look like until they're up against some talent. And I think he's a different kind of example from the other guys that are kind of in those lower classes. I think he's a player and he's able to compete. He will be able to compete at any other level, not just this 1A.
Jason, you had a chance to go over and share some time with him too. Just your impression of Jaquez Wilkes. He's very close to Auburn, obviously. But I got to feel, he definitely loves Auburn. He'll be in next weekend. But, I don't think you need to undersell Miami. And he made a point to talk about Miami and how much he likes Miami. He's made a trip down there before. He's looking forward to going back. But he's really narrowed it down to really 3 schools, it seems like. And I heard you talk earlier in the week about making a good impression. Some of these guys that coming in on their first or second OV, it doesn't really matter when you get them, but when you get them on campus, you better do a good job of impressing. And I think that's what Auburn will do. They'll try to sell him on why he's a priority to come in next year.
Yeah, and I think fit's always going to be important. It is, and no matter what you do. And I think for Jaquez, I think the Auburn fit is going to be appealing to him because of not only location but lifestyle, everything. But we went and saw him one day, and he was like, "Hey, I'm just ready to get out of school so I can go fishing." That's what he wanted to go do. He wanted to go fishing after school. A little more difficult to do that in Miami than it is in Auburn.
Right.
And so I think that's some of the things that you have to think about when you start thinking about who it is and the fit, location, all those things. And so, I do think that it's important to make that impression. Auburn was able to do that last weekend with guys who several of them said, look, they just got to set the bar. Right now, that's what you want to do. You want to set the bar because these guys are going to be visiting 4 or 5 schools over the next 4 or 5 weeks. And making that lasting impression is going to be a big deal.
Well, don't worry. He has looked at every single location that he's going to be going on for his OVs, what lakes or where he can go fishing at. So I don't think that's going to be a big problem for him. He's talked about how excited he was to go offshore fishing in Miami. So hopefully,
well, we'll try to keep him around the freshwater lakes.
So a little different to do that in terms of money and opportunity and availability. But there are some opportunities that if you find any freshwater down that way, you have to be really careful about walking around it too.
And Faith and I kidded, and we had to be reeled back in by Faith because when he started talking about fishing, Faith's like, "Well, Brett can show you some pictures," and then 20 minutes later, after he and I were looking at pictures of fishing, she's like, I kind of need to get back to this interview.
I was like, can we actually go back to why we're here? Because you guys can go. Hopefully, Brett's really going to take him fishing, so you can get some good fish over towards Auburn. That's
one of the last things he said to me walking out the door. He said, "No, I'm serious." He said, "I'm serious. Can you call me and I'll drive over to Allen City. I'd love to go fishing on Lake Martin." I said, "Man, I got you, buddy." Yeah, I'm never going to shy away from taking anybody fishing. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
Well, Jason, what did you think about the 2 running backs that were here this past weekend, Jay Lamar and Derek Cooper?
Yeah, I thought the most interesting thing about those guys being in was the fact that they embraced being in on the same weekend. And we're talking about, hey, there's going to be competition. We know that. We can see a path where we could be in the backfield at the same time. And that's, it's been trending that way for a long time. And we've seen, especially Georgia, really lean into recruiting multiple running backs and tell them, hey, you're not going to carry the ball 300 times. We want to have other guys involved and do that. But I think, especially from Jay Lamar, and Derek Cooper's a little more quiet. He's not as outgoing. Jay Lamar's a guy that, hey, it was great to talk to him about these things. But I thought that, there are guys that are going to be on some trips together down the road. They're kind of looking at some of the same schools. I thought Auburn's plan and message to them about, hey, we want both of you, and here's why, was a pretty big selling point. And so I thought it was an interesting weekend for the running backs.
It like you said, it's unique to have 2 in the same position that you're recruiting in on the same weekend. Well, next weekend, you're going to do that with the quarterback position with Travis Burgess and Landon Duckworth. Both of those guys coming in. And that's a different deal, though, because running back, you can get 2 guys. You know, and quarterback, you probably not taking both of them.
No.
You know, it's really down to, I guess, who feels like it's a better fit for them and who maybe Auburn. But I don't know how you place specific priority when you got them both in there at the same time. This will be interesting to see how this plays out.
I think it becomes first one in the boat. Hey, we want both of you, but we're only going to take one. You know, whichever one of you is ready to go, and when you're ready to go, that's going to be the determining factor, I think. Because I think you take either one of those guys. Travis Burgess is a guy that's been on campus more than like Landon Duckworth, even though Travis is from Grayson. He's been to Auburn a bunch. Landon not as much. But so I think it could come down to, hey, which one of those guys is closer, or do you feel like, hey, because the quarterback position is different. You see other guys kind of taking their time, and in this world, taking their time means waiting until July. You know, but quarterback, those dominoes fall quicker because of the fact that most schools are only going to take one. And so you're like, okay, if I want to go to this school and it's one of my schools, then I better get ready to go now. And so I think because of that, it speeds up the process a little bit for those guys going, okay, here's where we are, here's where we stand, and which one of you is ready to go. And I think as much as anything, that's the deal at quarterback.
Another guy that we talked to earlier was there, Tank Jones. When we were going through some of the comments that you were writing about him, I think you were able to kind of, or I don't know if it was you or Christian or who, but that he's a man of few words, doesn't have very much to say. But what about him taking a visit there? He said it was back on his top tier of the list.
Yeah, I think, and you talked to some folks that were with him that took a visit, and some of the people, and they're like, yeah, he's pretty quiet. Said he'll say some things, but he is definitely not, you know, when you think about guys in that position, you think about Derek Hall. Derek Hall's a guy that will talk to anybody. He's a guy that Tank's a friendly, it's not that he's not willing to talk to you. He's just not a guy that's very boastful and likes to talk about himself a whole lot. I kind of like that. And so I really believe that Auburn helped themselves a lot with Tank. He is another guy that it feels like it's going to be as important or more important for him to feel comfortable and to feel like he's at a place that he belongs. And so he talked to Anquan Fagans and Jared Smith. He talked to a bunch of those young guys. And that's another part of this equation, too, that I think is really big for Auburn right now is you've seen Caleb Harris and DeMarcus Riddick and Jay Crawford and Cam Coleman and Malcolm Simmons. You've seen all these guys as freshmen come in and make an impact. And I think that's a big deal for guys because these guys are willing to play freshmen if they're the best players. And I don't know now because of the portal if that's something that maybe you feel as much in other schools. And so I do think for Auburn, that's a selling point right now for these young guys going, look, it doesn't matter. If you're one of the best guys, you're going to get a chance to play. And I think Tank was one of the guys that talked about that too.
And what about Vodney Cleveland? We're about to get a chance to go over there.
Yeah, same thing for Vodney. I think another part of the equation for some of these guys too, and Vodney's one, is that, you know, having Jordan Crawford at Auburn's a big deal.
Huge
Guy that he played alongside last year at Parker. That allows him to get an inside look and going, hey, what's it really like? And, you know, you can get it from coaches and some players and stuff, but when it's your guy and he's telling you, hey, it's good. The workouts are tough. This is what you have to be prepared for. But I like this. I like this. I think that's a big deal because trust is something that is important. And you can trust coaches, but you also know in the back of your mind, they're probably telling me what I want to hear for the most part. But when it's somebody that you've lined up next to, I think that's a big deal for Vodney. So I thought in the last couple of weeks, even before the visit, Auburn had turned it a little bit for him. I think maybe weren't trending quite as much in the last few weeks. And now I think Auburn is trending in a really good direction for him. You know, he's got family originally from Prattville. He's got family that played at Auburn in the past, started his career there from Foley. So there's some connections for him to the Auburn area and to Auburn. And so, I think Auburn is in a much better position for Vodney maybe than they were a month ago.
Jason, a couple more things on last weekend before we move into the week coming up. I know there's nobody coming in this particular weekend, kind of a break, and then it's Memorial Day weekend next weekend, so it's kind of odd with the.
No, it's this week. That's this weekend.
Well, that's right. I can't keep it all together. That's right. Yeah, which weekend's which? But then coming in the next weekend, we'll talk about some of those visitors, but a couple more guys like a Trenton Henderson, some guys like that. What else stood out to you with these guys? This was a star-studded opening OV visit for Auburn. I mean, there were a lot of big-time guys in here. What's your feel on Trenton Henderson?
Yeah, I think Trenton Henderson and Bryce Perry Wright are two guys that I kind of maybe put in the same boat a little bit because they're not in-state guys, but they're guys that have looked at Auburn a bunch. And so you got Tank at that position. Trenton Henderson is another true buck kind of guy. But I think Rock Bellantoni is the key for him. Rock recruited him when he was at Florida Atlantic. When Rock gets the job to come back to Auburn, his first call is to Trenton Henderson. So I think that meant a lot to him. So he was back on campus over the weekend, got a younger brother that's going to be a good player too in this process. And so I think Auburn there is in a pretty good spot. Now, I think, they're obviously all of these guys have really big visits coming up. And so this is kind of the first step in the process for these guys. I've tried to kind of tell people beforehand, look, this is not going to be like visits are in November or it used to be in January where you start thinking, well, how many of these guys commit? None of them are going to commit now. They got other visits to take, and that's part of this summer and the way things have changed. But I think Trent Henderson and then Bryce Perry Wright's a guy that's visited a bunch. Yeah. I think DJ Durkin is the key there. Durkin recruited him at Buford while he was at Texas A&M. And so he is just, hey, here I am. I'm at Auburn. I'm closer now. And I do think that one of the things that was different about last weekend was it was a lot more football talk than any visit I could remember. Most visits are, hey, let's go have fun. We're going to do this. We're going to
take everything in, take pictures.
They did some of that stuff, but they spent a lot of time in coaches' offices. Hey, let's get on the board. Let's talk football. And I think the players responded well to that. I thought it went good. And Bryce Perry Wright was one of those guys too. So I think you look at that position, Auburn may take three. It may take three of those guys. You already have one committed. Probably take two more of those guys because it's such a value position and it's such a good class for those edge rushers that
it is loaded with edge rushers.
You may take two more of those guys in this class. And Bryce Perry Wright's a guy that could play that spot, that could play defensive end. He's more like Aaron Donald than the classic edge.
That's a good comparison.
Yeah, he is 6'2", 280, but just explosive, powerful. So I think that you got guys that do some different things.
Going in with what you just said, you pretty much just said, the commitment stuff isn't going to happen. So, but Justin said over under on commits before the season starts. What's your feel like total? Like after all the OVs are done, how many does Auburn probably add to the mix before the season starts?
10.
10.
I think you get. I think there's because so many of these guys are going to make a decision before this season starts. I think you could have a lot of the class done. It may be more than that. I mean, it might be 12. I think there'll be a lot. I think there'll be a lot happens in July and early August for a lot of the targets that you're in on. So I think a lot of this stuff's going to be done. So I would guess 10 to 12, maybe you could have that many by the time the dust settles before you kick off in August.
Pretty solid there. Let's before we head into next week's visitors, Faith, let's talk about some of our partners. We couldn't do our program without them, and obviously we start with Sensagreen.
Sensagreen for air that's cool and clean. Call on Sensagreen. They are the carrier experts for the state of Alabama. Proud supporter of Auburn athletics and proud supporter of the Auburn Blitz podcast. While it's getting hot outside, hopefully nobody else's AC units are going to break, but if getting ahead of that, you might as well call Sensagreen because they're going to put in a carrier unit. They're very reliable, and you don't want to be stuck in a house where it's disgusting and hot because why would you want that? call in Cincy Green. They're going to save you thousands of dollars.
Yeah, thousands of dollars, and everybody needs to save thousands of dollars. Scout Program Management will help you as well if you got a big educational project, a lot of big school builds going on that they're in charge of. I'm over here at one right now, Benjamin Russell High School, a brand new high school that'll be ready 1st of January, but they'll take you from the pre-construction phase all the way to the finished product, take all that worry off of you, so they'll make sure it's done correctly. Call on Scout Program Management, located in Birmingham and Bunkers.
Bunkers. It doesn't matter if it's raining outside or if it's too hot for you. You can go over to Bunkers and get a nice whole round of golf in, and they've got the golf simulator bays. And if you don't like golf, you can do there's 27 different sports. I'm sure there's something in there that you'll like. Bunch of TVs, 2 bars, great food. And we love going over to Bunkers.
Yeah, and I was impressed with Jason Swing last time we were over there. He was getting after it on the simulator over there. Him and Braden, you can tell they play a lot more golf than I'm able to play.
Yeah, I think that's the last time I swung a golf club. So if that tells you anything, there hadn't been a whole lot of time to do that. Maybe here down the road, but we'll see how that goes.
Goes right along with our theme this morning. Yep. Again, no rest for the weary. You got to keep rolling. Let's roll into next Friday. That'd be May 30th. And again, we said something about a few of these guys already with Jaquez Wilkes and Landon Duckworth and Travis Burgess. If it were a gut feel for you, I'm just kind of going back on the quarterback situation. Jason, who would it be in this group? Who is there one that's a priority over the other?
I don't know. There's as much a priority. I get the feel that Travis Burgess is a little closer than Landon Duckworth. I would lean a little bit towards Travis Burgess at this point for Auburn. Guy that we got a chance to see a couple of weeks ago. I don't think you go wrong with either one of these guys if it's one of the two, but I kind of get a feel that Travis is a little bit closer, and so we'll see how things go with that visit. And because I do think quarterbacks happen quicker than some of the other positions right now.
Yeah, I do too. I think again, it just feels like I think Coach Nix, Faith, is that right? Coach Nix and Coach Austin were at his house a few weeks ago.
Yep.
So a big time visit there. Some other guys, Jason, that might stand out to you coming up. I'll let you kind of, instead of me going down a list, I know Faith's got a couple she wants to ask about, but some that stand out to you. I'll get to it in just a minute. Who are some of the ones that stand out to you?
Yeah, I think you look at that weekend and you start talking about some potential guys. I think Wilson Zaire is a guy. That is the younger brother of Killian Zaire that played offensive tackle at Auburn. That was a JUCO transfer. Wilson is in school in Georgia, has become a kind of pretty big prospect himself. Another one for me is Anthony Davis. He is teammates with Travis Burgess at Grayson, and he's a really talented linebacker. And I think a true guy that will develop into a middle linebacker. He might be a dime guy to start with, more of an outside guy, but I think he's going to be a true middle linebacker. But you look at that team, that roster. I got a couple of defensive linemen that Auburn's recruiting. Obviously, 5-star linebacker teammate that still may set a visit to Auburn this summer as well. And so I think you think about Grayson, and you think about potentially getting your foot in the door even more there would be a big deal. And so I look at Travis Burgess, and then, you start talking about it. I think that's one, and I think Anthony Davis is another. And then probably I would go Wilson Zaire as another guy to look at out of that weekend, just to kind of see what happens.
Hezekiah Harris is going to be coming in that weekend too, and he's already committed to Auburn. Yep. But what do you think about his commitment? How firm do you think he is in coming to Auburn?
I think he's really solid. He's been committed for a long time. A guy that has been recruited by Auburn since he was in the 9th grade at Anniston before he made the transfer up north to Mae Jemison. Rock has made him a priority. They've continued to recruit him hard. And so, I feel like that one's really solid. That's why I think you get him and then 2 other guys at that position in this class, and you would feel really good about things. So, I think Hezzy's still a guy that I think is still really solid to Auburn.
He is able to do other visits. He's going to Tennessee on June 20th and Florida June 6th. But you don't think that that has anything to do? Like, you just think he's taking the OVs just to take them?
I think all these guys are going to take official visits now. You'll find some guys that go, hey, I'm done. Most of these guys are going to take official visits somewhere else just because it's the experience. And so never know. But I feel solid about him at the moment, and things can change. But if they do, then there'll be some other guys that they'll step to the forefront. That's for sure. But now I feel solid about Hezzy still. So.
What about Jermichael Garrett? I mean, Jermichael Garrett's a guy that's been committed since July of last year. You know, he don't really hear a lot about him. There was a rumor that he might, when he left Gulf Shores, might come to Auburn. And, you know, what's his situation? I think he is in Louisiana now, right?
Yeah, he's in Baton Rouge.
Is that worrisome to be in? I mean, right there in Baton Rouge.
Oh, yeah, I think, and I think that's it. It's like, he's at Central High School there in Baton Rouge, and so LSU's been one of the schools on his list. I think you look at him and Shadarius Tootle both, and those are guys that both been committed for a long time. Tootle visits Georgia last weekend. I think they're very much in the picture. It is just part of this process now. When things happen so early, it's almost gotten to the point where I would expect if a guy's committed, before his junior year, even during his junior year, that at some point that's going to change before signing day. And so it might change for both those guys, and they both might still end up signing with Auburn in December. That's just the way this thing works.
Well, it kind of goes back to something you and I and Randy talked about years ago. Have enough in the kitty over here. If somebody flips or somebody does that, you got plenty of other options. Don't go into a recruiting cycle recruiting 5 offensive linemen and hope you're going to get all 5. It don't work like that.
No, there's that old saying, and it holds true in recruiting more than anything. You can't put all your eggs in one basket. It's 100% true in recruiting. You can't do it. You never know what happens. And even if you get the guy you want, you better recruit other guys too, because there's no guarantee that guy's going to pan out. And so that's the problem. Like, well, man, you got a can't miss prospect. Well, those guys miss all the time. Not only in the college, a can't miss quarterback that's the first overall pick in an NFL draft misses all the time as well. It's happened over and over and over again.
Yeah, that's Cleveland.
And so you keep going, okay, you better have other options, and you better continue to recruit at every position to give yourself as many options as possible.
Has there ever been an NFL franchise screw up a number 1 pick more than Cleveland?
Well, when you have more of them, that tends to be the bad news, first of all, because you continue to do that. But it shows you, it does, that, an NFL team, no matter where you're drafting, you're probably only 3 or 4 guys on your board, and you have the pick. You don't have to worry about anybody else getting that guy. It's your guy, and they still miss a lot.
No doubt. And that's their life. They pour every ounce
billions of dollars into one pick, and
and it still falls flat sometimes. All right, Jason, before we let you go, I know you're heading up to Hoover tomorrow for the baseball. It got moved. Just kind of give everybody an update. Obviously, the weather screwed everything up. You couldn't get that game in last night, so it pushed things up for Auburn on Thursday. But, I think Auburn goes into this thing with a mindset, get a win, at least one, and then move into that game against LSU. But Auburn has shown they can compete with anybody in this conference, especially in this one-game scenario type tournament. What does it look like postseason after the SEC tournament for Auburn? Obviously a regional. Then what would a super regional host possibly look like?
Yeah, I think you're right on the cusp. I really do. I think, Auburn's RPI is 2 still. But you finished, 6th in the league. So you start to go, okay, how does that factor in? What's it look like from the standpoint of hosting? It's not softball. Softball gets 6 of the 8 national seeds, and you get all these host sites. Baseball, your league's still the strongest in the country. It's not even close. But they just don't do that in baseball. They're not going to give you a bunch of those. So you look at it and you go, North Carolina's probably a national seed.
Yep.
Oregon's probably a national seed. Is it Auburn? Is it Oregon State? Is it Coastal Carolina? That's the thing. And so normally I would say, oh, man, this SEC tournament doesn't mean a whole lot. I think for Auburn's super regional host, I think it would be beneficial to win 2 games. Just to go, hey, Here you go. Especially if you beat LSU 4 times, that would be huge because you probably then would move to the number 1 overall RPI. It'd be tough to keep the number 1 overall RPI from hosting. So I would say a couple of wins would be beneficial. No question that you're going to host the first round of regional and be in a top 16 seed at this point. But on the next line, a lot of that happens. And, maybe I do think Auburn is the close team right there to go. Is it one of those schools that has maybe that final spot? So I think, maybe it's something to play for in Hoover this week. And you're right. Now that you get backed up, it sets up to Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You can go into it almost like your regular weekend. And if you get to Sunday, hey, all hands on deck, see what happens.
Well, Jason, as always, man, we really appreciate you being on with us and making time to be on the program. I know, again, it's busy for all of us, and we just squeeze in time when we can get it. Tell everybody once again, as you head out, how they can keep up with you guys at 24/7.
Yep. Like I said, check us out at auburnundercover.com, part of the 24/7 network. Follow us on all the social media platforms. And because of this schedule, I now not even going to Hoover until Thursday, which feels a little weird. So I won't even go up until tomorrow morning. You win, play at 11 a.m. on Thursday. If you win on 11 a.m., you don't play till the second game on Friday night, which would be 7:30 or so. So, it's going to be a day trip, come back, and then if you win, go back again. Feels a little different, but, hey, saving some hotel money, so that I'll take it. Sleeping in my own bed will be nice. So, find all that, football recruiting, basketball roster that's still kind of taking shape, and Tahad Pettiford, that final decision will have to be made next week. So all that, you can find it all there at auburnundercover.com.
Appreciate you, brother.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, son.
Jason Caldwell with Auburn Undercover 24/7 always does a phenomenal job. We always appreciate them so much, and we also appreciate our partners, Faith, on the Auburn Blitz. Again, all of them such a great partner in their own way, and Sure Shot definitely one of those.
Yeah, Sure Shot, right up from Auburn, right up 280. They got all your firearm apparel and hunting needs. They sell and trade new and used firearms. Take it from Brett and my family that, we actually use these, the people that we talk about. So, Scott is going to be able to help with literally anything that you need help on when it comes to any of these things I just said. So, call on them at 256-329-0080.
No doubt about it. Love Sure Shot, and everything that you can get in their store. They're just wonderful.
And Oliver Ross for your party of a private party from 20 people all the way up to a convention of 20,000 people. Oliver Ross is certified and licensed bartender, so they're going to be able to make sure that you can focus on the entertainment process of the entire event or whatever you have going on, and they can focus on the bartending so you don't have to make a mess, spill it all over yourself. Stick with the professionals and go with Oliver Ross.
Don't do that. Don't be that person that screws up and you walking around with a big stain on your shirt and everybody's looking at you going, what'd you do? So great partners there. We'll get to a couple more here in just a little bit. Justin, sorry, man. We were just all over the place. Didn't get to see your comment there about Ernest Ranking. And then of course, Zion Ely. I did talk to Jason and heard him say some things about Zion Ely. And I think Auburn's really in the hunt with Zion Ely, the number one edge in the country, from Maryland, got teammates that are either already at Auburn or, planning to come to Auburn from St. Francis Academy. Again, Maryland is going to put a priority on him as he's an in-state guy, and he's the money now with Under Armour and competing. Faith and I talked about that the other day. It really doesn't matter. Teams that you used to not hear about being in for some of these guys, they're in now because of NIL. But I will also say this: there's a reason he keeps coming to Auburn, and he keeps Auburn high on his list. He's got a tie there. He's got a feel. There's a former coach on the staff at Auburn that he's familiar with, and it goes back to that R word, Faith, that you and I have been talking about for 2 weeks: relationships. I mean,
it does.
Relationships do matter. The NIL money matters 100%. But I think, and I'll let you share it with everybody, I think per person, everybody you've interviewed have talked about relationships way before they talk about the NIL stuff.
Communication, relationships, all those things are super, super important when it comes to any of the guys that I've interviewed so far picking a school, because it's hard to actually, during this process, there's been 2 guys recently that have said that picking a school has been the hardest part of their whole recruiting process. But the part that soothes it, makes it a little bit easier, is the communication and the relationships that they've built through the recruiting process to decide where they want to take their OVs, where they want to go and actually pursue. So, I think we've heard a lot of really good things about the coaches and how connected they try to be with these recruits, but it really is about just how well they're able to grow these relationships before the time for them to either come on the visit or choose where they're going to go to school.
Absolutely. Another comment from Justin, Ernest Rankings, man, priority defensive lineman from Decatur, Georgia, was in with Vodney Cleveland and Trenton Henderson and Bryce Perry Wright and Anthony and Tank Jones. All of those guys were in at the same time. So it just a massive
6'6", 285.
Massive guy. And Faith and I have talked about this since spring. You can't have enough depth on that defensive room. I think some people I kind of let it go eventually. People were like, man, we don't need any more defensive linemen to comment. And I'm like, buddy, it's not a cut on the ones we have. It's about the depth. And look, your defensive line is only as good as the depth. You can't run 3-4 guys out there and expect them to play the entire time in this conference. It ain't gonna work, man. So you got to have at least 2 deep across the board, if not more. And so, of course, again, not that I'm some kind of fortune teller, but one of the first things that Hugh Freeze said after spring practice was, we got to go get some more D linemen. I mean, it was just very clear when you looked at the room. So, yeah, I think Auburn's trying to do as much as they can with edge rusher guys, defensive linemen. All of those positions are massive, and that's where that's where you win football games, and that's where Auburn hasn't been very good over the last 10 to 15 years. Not necessarily on the defensive line, but on the offensive line. We've said that till we're all blue in the face, but the offensive line is the experienced group on this team now. So maybe we've kind of turned the corner. It only took us 15 years to do it, but maybe we've turned the corner, and that can be maybe one of the strengths of our team this year.
I'm over it.
I could tell. You started rolling your eyes, and you're like, I'm not even going to comment on that. So I knew it was a safety. That was one of those, hey, buckle your seatbelt comments.
Yeah.
100 days to kickoff. How fast are those 100 days going to go by?
Wasn't it just 150 days or something?
I remember that. Yeah, we were somewhere. I don't know where we were. We were somewhere on the road, I'm sure.
We're always somewhere, Brett. Always. Just
somewhere.
like we're going to be somewhere today at 11:30.
Well, go ahead and just tell everybody about that.
We're going to be up right outside of Lake Martin Grocery, where we're going to have Riley Green. Well, we're not having him. They're having him. But Riley Green will be on the show at noon today.
We'll have him for a little bit, hopefully.
Yeah, we'll have him for a little bit. Noon to 1 is going to be our normal TV show. He'll hop on for a segment. But if you go up there, it's a meet and greet. You can literally just pull up. You'll see everybody outside.
Right.
And he's going to be meeting people, shaking hands, signing autographs, all the goods. Hopefully, maybe he'll break out a song. I don't know.
If he breaks out a song, what do you want him to play?
Ooh, I don't know. I feel like he should only play Georgia Time, because that's where he says he bleeds orange and blue. And Andy talks about.
He had an Auburn hat on the other day, so I'm interested to hear what you're going to talk to him about.
Well, that's why everybody has to watch the show today
That's
at noon, or come and you can watch in person.
Yeah, we've got people coming with us, so we're excited about that.
Guys, I'm going to have Lucy take a picture with him. What do you guys think?
He'll take a picture with Lucy, right? Not she takes one with him. He'll be privileged to take a picture with Lucy, right?
He is, yeah. Are you come on. I'm going to have her bandana on. It's just.
She'll be all decked out in her orange and blue. How about that?
Come on. She used to wear blue and red. Gross. Not anymore. I saved her.
You really rescued her.
I really did.
She got rescued twice. Yeah. All right, let's talk about some more of our great partners.
Old Number One Customs. Don't DIY it for 2 years. Stick with the professionals and get it done in just 2 weeks with Old Number One Customs. They can fix your bathroom, totally renovate it, totally renovate your kitchen, all the good things so that your wife doesn't hate you anymore. So go ahead and call on them because they're the professionals. Don't do it yourself.
Absolutely. Call them 334-752-6162. When we pull the trigger on renovating our master bathroom, it will be Old Number One Customs that does it. So, looking forward to getting that project done at some point in time in the near future.
And JFA Blue Plumbing, again, don't DIY it yourself. Don't try to filter your own water. That's a waste of time. What do you want to do? Shower with the Brita? Call in JFA Blue Plumbing because they're going to install a home Atlas water filter duo, which makes every single faucet in your house have purified water. So whether it's going to be your kitchen sink, your bathroom, your shower, anything like that, it's going to have purified filtered water for just $15.99. And you can't put a price on your health. So call on JFA Blue at 844-JFA Blue.
I don't even have to say any more after that. That was a pretty good wrap up there. Again, we do want people to come and there's a grand open. It's an outdoor kitchen. An outdoor, and not just a kitchen, but outdoor patio, fireplace type deal.
Literally anything you can think of with the most beautiful.
They're unbelievable.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, stone.
The different types of stone that they use.
It is so gorgeous. I told my parents because they're building a house. I said, guys, you've got to come see this.
Got to get one of those.
Gorgeous.
And we'll showcase some of those today.
Yeah, and we were even in the shop that they were building before it was completely finished with a bunch of other just showcases of what they do. And wow, they're so beautiful.
Yeah, it would definitely be a great addition to any home. For sure. So make sure, again, if you can come out to the grand opening, that it starts at 11:30. Faith and I will go on live on social media, probably 11:45-ish, somewhere around in there. And then the show will be at 12. So we'll be there from 12 to 1. And then a little bit past that, like we normally do, we'll probably wrap up things about 1:30. So, of course, get your comments in. It's going to be a beautiful day. The storms blew through last night while everybody was snoozing. Hope everybody got through that okay. I don't think there was a lot of damage or anything. So it's going to be a gorgeous day outside. So make sure you make your way down to Stillwater's area, right there on 49. We were at Tessa's place Friday. As you can see, Faith's hair. Tess did a great job.
She did amazing.
Tess will be there today too. So
she will. We asked her if she was going to cut Raleigh's hair.
Yeah. Well, did she shave his mustache?
Oh my gosh, I can't believe it's shaved. My roommate that's coming, she was like, I want to ask what happened to it.
Yeah, I just saw that post last night, and he's like, hey, look, don't let people tell you not to do whatever or something. I'm like, okay. And he looks totally different, really. It's amazing. So,
we'll see.
All right. Well, we'll see him up close in person, and hopefully we'll see you out there. If not, tune us in at noon for the Auburn Blitz show. We will be on then. Of course, we'll be back with you tomorrow right here for the Auburn Blitz podcast, as we are every single morning around 8-ish, sometimes a little after.
Yeah, y'all will be on about 8 with Randy. Y'all start.
Yeah, we start a little bit early on those days, and then you get to sleep a few minutes later. Take advantage of that.
I like it. It's nice
So-
15 minutes that I get.
It matters. Hey, and right now it makes a big deal. 15
Yeah.
minutes here and there makes a big deal for sure. So we're excited to be down there on location again. Hope everybody has
The best day ever.
as always, right?
Yes.
And a big old
War Eagle.